as you see that my title is today I'm going to talk about the subsistence strategy of Iron Age from Elbistan, Karahöyük. And let's start with the location of the site. I would like to give a brief information about it. Actually, about the environment of the plain, which located on the Karahöyük. This plain is, how can I say, covers an area lies between Taurus and Anti-Taurus mountains and crossed by the Ceyhan River. I don't know whether can you see these mountains, but the plain, Elbistan plain, is encircled with the different mountains. That because, and those mountains divided the plain two different zones. So we have different climatic zones in this plain. Same plain. One is the typical Mediterranean climatic zones, and the south part is the typical Eastern Anatolian climatic zones. So we have different environmental conditions, and we have different vegetational bushes or other vegetation we can observe at the same time here. And also, I'd like to say that the plain is, how can I say, well watered by the several rivers, important rivers like I'm saying Hurmanlı, Söğütlü, and Göksun and Nargile. That is important because of this feature, the plain is one of the most fertile area in Anatolia, even today in Turkey, I mean. So it is very suitable to intense agricultural activity and husbandries as well. Okay. I couldn't go further. Yes. Yeah. Höyük, as you can see from the map, Höyük is located vicinity of the Kahramanmaraş, province, and 10 kilometers northwest to Elbistan district, and it is located on the Karahöyük village. This is the largest multi-period mound in this area, and especially is situated very important trade routes. And it has excellent position, actually, like Eastern Cilicia, Northern Syria, Mesopotamia to the Central Anatolia. So for this reason, it is understood that the mound has a significant central stratigraphic location of through the especially Syrian trade colony, Hittite times, and the Iron Age as well. Okay, here, yeah. I would like to give you information about the history of the excavation. Excavation started very early times at Karahöyük, like 1947 by Tahsin Özgüç, and he excavated only one season here, and he discovered a very important Karahöyük stele. You can see the picture right side, and this is the Hittite Empire time of the period. I don't know very well what is written on this, but I know it is dedicated one of the Hittite gods, and it is essential to show the importance of the Höyük, start with Hittite periods and Iron Age as well. And you will see some cylinder seals and some archaeological seals the bottom of the picture. Yeah, continue with. Yeah, I want to say that after a long time, the excavations start in 2015 by Bora Uysal from Sivas Cumhuriyet University. And I put those pictures because unfortunately, the mount heavily distracted by the modern village. You see the village houses located exactly top of the mount. So unfortunately, again, some of the hug are missing. Let me show you in general picture here. Yeah, you can see north part is some of them are missing, unfortunately. Yes. Yeah. As for the stratigraphy, current excavation continue with the undestroyed places, and you see the yellow table, the northwest slope and the northern plain. And first one is divided maybe 6 different groups: Roman period to the Iron Age, and the northern plain is the start with Roman to the late Bronze Age. As far as I know, northern slope excavation was finished, and northern plain was continued, still ongoing. Okay. Let's continue with. Okay. Well, since the current faunal assemblage limited to phase of Iron Age, like early, middle, and late Iron Age, of course, the archaeological questions mainly focused on to understand the Iron Age animal exploitation. So for the Iron Age, our understanding of the history incomplete, I can say. And following the collapse of the Hittite Empire, like 12,000 BC, the period is known as Dark Ages. That's because of paucity of the written documents from the archaeological excavations, and consequent with the general, how can I say, general paucity of written documents found, and we can say that cultural devolution and maybe population displacement and political decline happened at that time. However, still, despite those such bad things happening in Anatolia, the collapse of late Bronze Age, there appeared to have been political and cultural stability in especially eastern part of the Anatolia. Yeah, this study to have this area based on animal bones. Yeah, here the present study include 3 different excavation campaign, and we have 2,212 animal bones. Luckily, the preservation condition was good, and most of them could be identified. And you can see from the graph, this is the typical Iron Age Anatolian faunal assemblage. Of course, as Vicky said, that the leader is the sheep and goat, and the cattle was, and the pig was followed. I can see from the faunal assemblage horse, donkey, I mean acute group, I can say, and very few numbers of the wild species like deer, wolf. Still very few numbers. Okay. Yeah, this is the table, shows that the number and the percentage, NISP percentage of each Iron Age periods. So it is much more visible, and it is much more understandable what I'm talking the previous slide. Yes. Okay, let's start with our favorite species, sheep and goat. as I said, especially during the early and middle Holocene, in the Anatolian fauna, we come across most abundantly found these species. This is the same for Karahöyük. It is comprising 41% in the total. And here I cut marks and some pathology conditions and burning degrees were recorded in this research, and I put some samples, cut mark samples, you can see there, and very few numbers of tool or how can I say, decorative tool bones we have, but still a few numbers. And interestingly, we open-ended bronze rings located snout of the ovicaprines, probably sheep, were found during the excavation. Actually, how can I say, this is not very common situation. It is open to debate, of course, because that kind of open-ended ring we know using ox, cattle, or sometimes pig, that because of the weaning. But for the ovicaprine, I never saw it before. And you see the right side of the bottom, there is a infection of the bones of the sheep. Yeah. Sorry, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention. Okay. When we look at the dental wear analysis, okay, I couldn't see it anyway. According to dental analysis, the representation of the infant and the young individuals still exists, but very, very few number. As far as from the graph, we understand they mainly focused on the adult and the old one. We see that the graph start to peak 2 and 4 years old. As far as we know, slaughtering at certain age represent that you represented certain strategy. I mean, for example, if you slaughter young lambs, it indicates that the milk exploitation, okay? However, when we look at here, we can say that 2 and 4 years, we talking about meat consumption, basically. But as for the 8 to 10 very old individuals, we can see very high number in the assemblage period. So it is obviously clearly show that secondary production intensely like milk and the wool, of course. Yeah. Okay. This is our second popular and species is the cattle. It's almost 35% in total represented. Cattle frequency is in the Levant has been demonstrated by highly connected with the geographical conditions and also agricultural activity as well. Here, the potential idea to keep the cattle for agricultural activity like traction or heavy power, milk as well. When I look at the dental age chart, yes, still young individual exist. However, we observe that the adult individuals highly slaughtered, highly preferred Iron Age sites. Maybe, of course, it is related with the usage of this animal, like as I before mentioned, hardworking and traction or intense agricultural activities. I put some, samples. For example, here there's a pathology, first phalangeal ortho on the vertebra, arteritis. This exocytis and arteritis, this disease mainly associated with the hard work. And also I put some tool and teeth, like tools, asparagus, and radius and ulna. There's an infection for what reason. Some diseases were also observed for the cattle. Um, the rise in the cattle breeding may also suggest that the wealth of Iron Age Karahöyük as well, because in addition, cattle was always secondly preferred animal in Anatolia, especially here. So it might be related with the economic choices, and it is every, for example, early Iron Age, Middle Iron Age, and late Iron Age, all the time cattle was the second animal. So it's say that interpreting that the economical choices of the community and aiming production and the distribution of the cattle resources. Yeah, as for the pigs, about 9% of the pigs was demonstrated in the assemblage. As we see the dental age category, neither consumption very early age or late, just the middle. This is the very typical consumption of the meat. And when we compared other Iron Age sites in Anatolia, this is the same situation. Pigs, of course, but we don't have any pathological sample for the pigs here. Okay. Let's continue. Well, when we say that subsistence strategy, we are the idea automatically come our mind that the secondary productions make wool as well. However, we have some little wild animals and acute dogs represented in the fauna, so I will just give basic information about them and maybe helpful to create the Iron Age Karahöyük inhabitants' lifestyle. Okay. 150 acute bones we found from the assemblage, and some of them couldn't be identified as a genus level, so put in acute groups, but most of them attained with the horse, and we have also donkeys. According to postcranial age, we have almost all of the animals were adult. Very few numbers, 3 or 2 numbers, unfused postcranial skeletal were found. And so this indicates that horse acutes kept into the adulthood, of course. And we found very few numbers of cut marks. Actually not very few, but maybe we have 150 acute bones and the cut marks 50, 45, 50 around. Well, still we have cut marks, so I can say that maybe acute consumption, maybe I can mention about. However, considering these information kept adulthood, indicating that their principal function not was a resource of meat, instead as a burden animal and transportation. They were used as transportation, of course. Acutes were valuable animals, especially in the Levantine Iron Age, in terms of reflecting military purposes, transportation of goods, of course, and the presence of the acutes, and probably related with the distribution system of the wools and other non-animal products, distance trading during an Iron Age. Yeah. As I said before, we have some dogs, cats, and other canids like wolf and fox. Interestingly, we observed one cat and one dog's mandibles has show a cut marks on it, but unfortunately it is not possible to say that this is a part of food economy. And also most probably dogs were used as a guard animal, of course. Yeah. Finally, I would like to mention wild taxa. We have 3 deer species. Those deer species home to nearest home to those species like red deer, fallow deer, and roe deer. And we have very small numbers of hare and what else? Yeah, very few numbers of the wild animals. Maybe actually, considering the environmental conditions, characteristics of the sites, the underrepresentation, this group may be due to the applied recovered techniques, or how can I say, taphonomic conditions can be. So rather than as a reflection, the real importance of fishery and the prey wild animals in the diet of the Karahöyük inhabitants, actually. Yeah, as a conclusion, as an archaeological resource, Karahöyük had, as I said, had a significant strategic location. Furthermore, research has shown that the site significant center during the Iron Age, and the pattern of the exploitation, like other whole site, is the same faunal assemblage ratio, more or less same. Sheep or goat is the main abundant taxa, and cattle and the pig one is the third. This is the whole. I put some Iron Age sites, and I evaluated all of them, both faunal assemblage in aspect to both faunal assemblage and the subsistence strategy. I can say clearly that whole area, it is visible that the same thing. Yes. I can say, well, according to Zor, and finally, I want to say that according to zooarchaeological proofs that despite the political collapse and populations movements, something like that happened during an Iron Age, there was any change in both formal assemblage and the subsistence strategy observed those areas, I can say. Yes, thank you very much for your listening, and thank you. That's all.